Hey everyone, Joe here, and today's What's Crackin'. It's actually a one that my friends will really want to see because I got none other than Shawn Wickens here. And Shawn, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I will get right to it. Atlanta Fringe Fest, May 30th to June 7th. By the way, you can see you. Tell me all about Fringe Fest, please.
Sure. So the Atlanta Fringe Festival, first of all, there's like 300 Fringe festivals in the world. The biggest
All
one,
over. Yep.
the biggest one is Edinburgh, but the Atlanta one's been there. This is their 13th year. I did it last year, and it's a lottery submission process, which
Yes.
makes it more interesting and exciting. I mean, I did get pulled 2 years in a row, so that's great. But the fun thing about live theater for me is that, it's like live TV in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. It was like anything could happen.
Yeah.
Live TV these days, it feels sort of over rehearsed and restricted. And I don't think you can really get that with live theater in a way. I think you can get more spontaneity and excitement with live theater. But anyway, it's the Atlanta Fringe Festival. It's just a combination of interesting plays, pieces, works of art, dance, puppetry, theater, music, comedy.
That's cool. Now,
And
I've been to the Montreal one,
oh, yeah.
and so I'm gonna act dumb through most of this.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Montreal's a great city for festivals, I've heard. They
Oh,
have a ton of, they have
it's
like
amazing.
Fest. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's everything's there. So what got you into, like, from idea to even knowing about Fringe Festival to what got you into live theater itself?
Sure.
Walk me through that one.
I started doing improv when I first moved to New York in 2004. And I personally always thought I was funny, but I thought I didn't know how to write jokes, which was wrong, by the way. But anyway,
Which part?
before I
Kidding.
got to joke writing, I was doing improv theater. And the fun of that was the spontaneity of just 5 to 8 minds on stage, just
Right.
trying to figure it out in the moment. And then just from doing other theatrical stuff like comedy festivals around the country, in Toronto, even, eventually you just hear about other types of theater festivals.
Right.
And Fringe is something that comes up so regularly because there's so many different ones around the world. And it's one of the few theater festival sort of platforms where the performers will make most of the ticket sales.
Right.
Uh,
Yes. That's
and
important
so,
too.
yeah, in so many theater festivals, you might not even get paid to do it at all. So it was kind of a long, gradual process of just figuring out, or hearing about one of the largest fringe festivals in North America is in Rochester, New York, which is,
Really? Rochester.
yeah, which a lot of people don't know about. And I've done it a few times, and it is a blast.
So you're
It's
doing multiple
huge.
ones. I know you're doing Atlanta May 30th to June 7th.
Yeah.
So you're doing where other places have you gone for Fringe?
I just got back from last summer. I did the Regina Fringe Festival in Regina, Saskatchewan, which was also a
Oh,
lottery.
that's
Yeah.
I point to where like everyone knows where I'm pointing to, like, oh, over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did that one because it was also a lottery system. It's always just like, oh, I won't feel rejected if I don't get picked because it's
That's
just a random
brilliant.
thing.
Yeah.
But Regina was great. I overheard a local talking about Regina saying it's not a small town, it's a big village.
I have known that's true. Regina
Yeah.
is sometimes a big village.
Yeah, yeah. And
Many people in it.
it really felt like that. But when I did that festival, I got blessed by doing my show inside of the Natural History Museum,
Wow.
which is
That's
great
cool.
because the premise of my show is I talk about time travel and physics, but from a stoner's perspective. So the fact that I was put in a museum was it felt like I was robbing the place of some street cred, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. I love that idea. And we're going back to, so it's a time machine stoned?
Well, that's my Instagram handle.
That's the Instagram. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. The show that I do is called Secret Time Travel Meeting,
Okay.
which
Brilliant.
I feel like it's a fun, coy little like marketing thing to oh, this is secret, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
of
even
course.
though I advertise it, yeah. So I just did it, Regina last summer, and then 3 months ago, I got back from New Zealand, Wellington, New Zealand Fringe Festival, and Adelaide Fringe Festival in Australia, which were also fantastic.
That's amazing. So you were doing the Fringe circuit, and you talk about Edinburgh being the biggest one. And how do you get into Edinburgh? Is that lottery too, or is it has to be built upon?
There's like the book for Edinburgh is like this thick.
Yeah.
It's like a whole month, and I think there's like over 1,000 shows, something like that,
Wow.
and a ton of venues. So I think it varies how to get. I think sometimes it's a lottery thing. Sometimes it's
Right.
you pitch your show to a venue. I think sometimes people also just do shows in people's apartments that are sort of like
Jason.
unregulated.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I would do a show of one. Give me a dog. I'll
Oh,
do it in front of the dog. Absolutely.
yeah.
So you said when you're starting off improv, because you thought you couldn't write jokes, but you found that those wrong. How did you write your first joke for stage?
I I was invited to, because I was doing improv in New York for such a long time, I had
Right.
connections through different theaters, and I was invited by the artistic director at the Pit at the time to submit a solo show for their solo festival.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, all right, well, I shouldn't turn down this invitation.
Right.
It wasn't a, oh, you'll get in. It was like, oh, you should submit something. So I
Right.
was like, all right, I'll try to submit something. And I was trying to think of like what kind of shows I could do. And they said it's a solo performance festival. It's not really stand up. And I was like, okay. So what I did is I started going to open mics in New York just to practice stories.
Cool.
And because I had so much experience doing improv, I found that when I went to a place to practice a story that I had kind of rehearsed,
Right.
I was also able to adjust it sometimes in the moment to make it work for that particular audience.
Right.
So I was like kind of improvising stories or punching up stories on the fly. And then I also kind of just realized that sometimes jokes are stories with the unimportant information just removed out of it. Just they're like completely shortened, right?
Right.
So my first joke was because at the time when I started doing this here in New York, and I'm pointing where
Right.
I'm
As
pointing
we do. As we
yeah,
do. Like, oh, over there.
outside of my building, there's like a kiosk of like bikes for public
Oh,
use.
yeah. Like
You dip
the
your credit card in, and
yeah.
so
Like
those were
lime.
new at the time. And I told a story about seeing somebody struggle to get their bike with their credit card. You know what I mean? But I turned that story into a joke where I would just ask the audience. They're called city bikes here. I was like, "How does city bikes work?" And always a very helpful audience member would interject, "You put your credit card in." And I said, "No, no, no. How does it steer? How does it move? Like, oh, the pedals. Oh, so it's a bike, right?"
Yeah.
So it was like a little stupid sleight of hand
It's
of like, yeah, how does
the
city
catch
bike
and go.
work?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I realized that I turned a story into kind of a joke or fucking with the audience. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
And from there, I just started turning stories into like, how could I turn this story into a joke? How can I turn this story into a joke?
The what ifs.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. What if this was a joke? How could I do this? How can I deliver this? How long was your first set of monologue? I guess for monologues because it's storytelling slash.
Yeah, the first show I did, which was at SoloCom at the Pit, before I was a stand-up, when I was just an improviser, I
Right.
think my first show was a half hour. So I went from thinking I didn't know how to tell jokes or write jokes to just doing a half hour
A
on
half
stage.
hour. My
Yeah,
God, man. Like,
and
really?
I think it was a good. I mean, I did open mics before then, which were
Right.
5 minute bits,
Yeah.
sometimes 3 or 7 minutes.
The
You know what I mean? So I think it was a good trial by fire to like try to do that much that early in a way.
oh, no. It's, I would say 30 minutes. How big are the crowds for these things? Are they kind of like pub size? Are they
It
comedy
varies.
club where you bring your own friends?
It varies. I think for that one, I was sharing the performance block with a few other shows.
So a
And
few
so
brought in there. Yeah,
I think I had 40 to 50 people the first time I
it's
did.
pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
That's decent, man.
And it got a good reaction. And trust me, there's times that I've done shows after then that were not well received. You know what I mean? But it's also
Yeah.
good to learn from.
Oh, I've ate my share of silence.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But and the fun thing about being a comedian is that there are times like I can remember doing 40 minutes of not well received material, and then somehow in the last 10-15 minutes you bring it together.
Land the fucking plane. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. which
it's
which which would feel impossible, but it is, in some ways that feels better than doing a great show the whole time through, which
right. It's kind of like you're expecting to fly perfectly down, and
yeah,
that's the expectations, right? But when
yeah.
you start crashing, and you can save that plane from crashing into the ground, it's actually like, oh, it's like a work of effort. Like, oh,
Oh
I
yeah,
did
yeah, yeah.
this. Like,
Right.
and I've known people who, probably me, once they start tanking, just see how far they can tank.
Oh
Like, oh,
sure.
how can I drive this fucking plane through the ground? Fuck this thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've done that, and it's not as fun as
No,
saving it. Yeah.
no. Look,
I've actually, I also once did a show. A friend of mine, Lex Morales, and I, we got hired to do like a private gig in upstate New York
oh yeah,
for like, it was like a group of people. Like
yeah,
they said they were like a biker club from upstate New York. It was all like plumbers and blue collar workers who also like,
yeah. Cool.
did bike stuff on the side or whatever. But anyway, they were like, we want to rated our show, and we're like, okay, fine. And Lex went up, and then I went up, and I think I did a half hour, and I had them the whole time until I told my last joke, which was my most rated R joke, and it ruined the whole night. They were not happy.
Really?
Yeah, I ruined.
Could you do the joke here? I mean, you don't have to. Mind. Do you remember it?
I do. Maybe I'll tell you off air.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
It's all good. Like, oh, I need to hear this one now.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah, I
will.
love it.
I will not tell that one on stage to this day, but I will talk about that story on stage, and then I'll tell it to people afterwards who want to
After the
hear
show.
it. Yeah,
Definitely. Now, it's funny because if they asked for a rated R show,
yeah, yeah.
like they didn't have any like caveats. By the way, don't talk about parrots, nothing like that. It was
Right,
just like
right.
bring it on. Like I see it they like I want you clean, and you start doing dirty. Like no, you
Well,
know,
you know what I think I think what it was is that a lot of my show wasn't that rated R,
and you
and then you end with a masturbation joke, and they're like, "Well,
yeah.
that came out of nowhere," you know?
I start with one.
Yeah,
That's weird. That's kind of like you end where I start. Like, that's kind of fun.
you can't predict for all of this, any of this,
No,
but
no, and
you can
okay,
hope.
so they're a private show, and so they're probably engaged. They wanted the entertainment there, and I know some of these like Fringe Fest, by the way, for Orlando, May 30th and June 7th. People are
Mhm.
coming. They'll probably have friends coming, so people are there for others and yourself,
Yeah, yeah,
and they're there for the show,
right.
right? Have you done? I know you did open mics, and I know you did the smaller sets we're talking about,
Hmm.
where they're there for the free drink,
Oh, sure.
and they just don't give a shit what's on stage.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. How does that work for you?
It's yeah. I don't like doing those, but it's another challenge that something can be learned from it. You know what I mean? Like I think as a stand-up comedian who came to stand up from improv, I think
Yeah.
improv gave me a lot of sort of, I'm always aware that you're up against the wall, kind of. You know what I mean? Because
Literally sometimes those fucking clubs got brick wall behind you.
yeah, yeah. The gift of improv though is that, like, I don't know, it taught me the show must go on.
Yep.
And I
Yeah.
mean that's the rule of all of theater, but the fun thing about improv is that there's no script. And in spite of there being no script and nobody knows what anybody's going to say at any moment, the show has to go on. So it's just like you have to sort of suck it up and go through with it. So I will remind friends, other comedians, because you've heard it before, comedy is hard. People say that all the time. That never ceases to be true. And it needs to be difficult in order for it to be rewarding. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I think I have a healthy sort of skepticism about performing and making people laugh. And
Do you ever like focus on the one person who is paying, like on a crowd of 30 people, they're all at dinner, really? If anyone hasn't seen a dinner show before, it's
yeah,
fantastic. Please book yourself.
right.
It's usually that one person that
Yes.
maybe laughed, and now the entire show is just you and them. Is that about the lifeline?
I've been in that situation when I've been in the audience and I'm the only
Okay.
one
It's
laughing,
like, boop.
and it eventually spoils it for me because I'm like, stop focusing just on me. This, you know what I mean? I think it
Can't go
makes
home
me
and cry.
uncomfortable. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think I try to do that. I'm always aware that I'm not trying to make people uncomfortable. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm really trying to make them laugh. Or actually,
Right.
my rule isn't I don't try to make the audience laugh. I let them laugh.
Let them laugh.
Because trying,
Means it's you're
yeah, yeah,
pulling up. Yeah. Do you crowd surf? Let me rephrase crowd surfing. Do
sure.
you go through the rows like, hey, where are you from? Yeah, Ohio, huh?
Not so much with this show that I'm doing lately.
Because it's structured, yeah?
Yeah. So, well, the show I'm doing now, it's called Secret Time Travel
Right.
Meeting. And there is a lot of I do invite interaction with the audience.
Really?
I want them to ask me questions about time travel because it's or just physics or science because it's kind of you know, I can talk about what I think I know, but I also want to know what you want to know or what you
Yeah.
think you know. So I think it makes for deeper moments because instead of just like, hey, where are you from? What do you
Yeah.
do? It's like, what part of your science mind brought you here tonight kind
Right.
of
Because
thing.
it's a very specific show. Now, for the audience,
Sure.
when you're talking about you invite physics questions,
Yes.
what's your background to answer these?
It's all self
All
invented.
good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
you can actually has anyone ever gone like, I'm gonna write this question down, he will never know this answer?
Well, I'll give you more about the background. I think 3 years ago, I was here in this apartment where I live, and I was stoned off of a weed brownie that I made myself, which I'm I do on the regular. You know what I mean?
Baking.
Yeah, yeah. Once or twice a week, maybe three
Betty
or four
Crocker.
times. Yeah, yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Anyway, while I was stoned, I was just chilling out, listening to music, having a great like moment of not worrying about my next move, not like trying to
Right.
come up with material, like not thinking about comedy. I was just like really enjoying the moment. And somehow I just wondered if the domain name Time Machine Blueprints, if that was available. And while I was stoned, I bought Time Machine Blueprints and I was like, wow, what do I do with this? You know? And because it felt like it's such an
Yeah.
important, funny thing to have. And some time went by. I was bragging to friends. I was like, hey, I own timemachineblueprints.com. Eventually, I was like, I know what to do with this. And so I self published a book to Amazon called Time Machine Blueprints, which I was allowed to do, I figured, because I had the domain name.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of the book is a little bit of a cosmic joke because it's mostly blank inside because it's the first edition and I'm inviting other people to do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
And so once I feel like I reverse engineered this show because I was like, I have merch now. I was like, now I should do a show about time travel because I have merch.
I have to sell this stuff. What the
Yeah,
hell?
yeah. So that's my background. That's
That's
why I
cool,
feel
man.
like I have authority about it. Yeah. But the
I
funny thing
love it.
is that once you do tell yourself, "Oh, I I deserve to think about time travel or I have a
Yeah.
right to," you do start to come up with things that other people are interested in hearing kind of.
The ideas of it, and that's where the idea comes from,
Yes.
and then how long between there and your stage show in May, for
Um
or even
I
your first one you did?
Yeah,
Right.
I put out the book in like the summer of 2023, I think, and then in March of 2024, I did again at the Pit, solo com,
Oh,
as my new Time Machine Blueprints, the show,
nice.
where I talked about time travel, and I did it stoned, and I forgot my notes, and I actually accidentally got too stoned, and I fucked it up because I did very little time travel stuff, and I just told jokes while I was stoned. But it had a good response, and I was like, all right, well, now I need to do it for real.
For
So then I
real.
started
Yes.
doing it at other festivals, I did it at bookstores, any place that would let me.
That's amazing.
So it's been like 2.5 years where I've been doing this show.
That's amazing. And I love the trajectory of going from, I almost said groundlings, but in my mind, improv. I was trying to
Oh,
find
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
improv, the word improv.
Yeah.
So improv into a solo, the writing the jokes and then writing a show and having the merchandise first and then writing the show, right?
Right.
And then this is your premiere show that you're touring all around the world with Fringe.
Hmm.
That's an amazing thing. And like the last 2 years then, like from dot to dot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been fun. And I do tell myself, and I tell other people that I don't live to perform. I perform because I think it helps me live in a different way, you know? I think that strikes a good like artistic balance for
Right.
me. You know what I mean? Like, but last year when I did the Atlanta Fringe, I remember overhearing people talking about going to Adelaide and just being like kind of silently jealous about it, not even knowing that 8 months later I would have found a way to submit myself and then get there, myself. So it's and I do love traveling, and I do love going to
Right.
see different places, and like doing comedy does allow me to, it gives me an excuse and a purpose to go to different
No,
places.
absolutely. It's a great way to book yourself through various and even places you didn't even know about. And
Oh
like
yeah.
Adelaide, that's awesome. But like the one in Regina, like, oh, I'm gonna go over it. Or Rochester, New York. Who knew that was the biggest one? I was like, oh, really?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
one? I've been, but not for the Fringe.
Yeah, yeah. I think I might be doing that this I think I might be doing Rochester again at the end of this summer. I'm splitting the bill with a comedian friend of mine, Jared Wilder. We're doing two shows in one. I'll do the time travel stuff. He'll do some stuff as well.
It's
But
awesome.
yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't have gotten to Rochester the first time if I hadn't done that festival. So it
Yeah.
does take you to places that there's a chance I'm doing Estonia this
Really?
summer. Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing.
It might conflict with Rochester, so I have to like now figure
Oh,
that out. But yeah, never thought I'd get to Estonia. I'm not there yet, but I never thought that I might go there, and now I might be going there.
right. Have you ever thought about, and maybe you already have this, tape? Like I know sometimes they're like the festivals, I'm guessing there's 12,000 cell phone footage of the
Oh
thing,
yeah,
right? Would you ever thought about going, all right, I'm going to take some studio time. I'm just going to do it here. This is
sure.
going to be my tape set, and
Yeah,
I'm going to set it on my site.
I'm gonna do it eventually. I'm having fun doing it with a live audience at the
Right.
moment, and I will sometimes. I mean, it's such a dynamic idea, this whole secret time travel meeting
Yeah.
thing. I encourage people to come show up in costume,
Really?
because the joke is that you never know who's going to be showing up at a secret time travel meeting or from when, right? So if
Right.
you have
Love
like
it.
a pirate sitting next to you, or someone dressed as a robot, it's like it helps with the illusion of like what's going on here, you know?
It does, and it's a great, brilliant night. It's like a little dress party. Then I
Yeah,
love the
yeah.
idea, like getting the audience involved that way.
But I will also sometimes have NDAs for people to sign as they come in, just saying that because I don't allow video,
Right.
because what happens here stays here in the present. You know what I mean? Like it's secret what we
Yeah.
talk about
The,
here.
the word secret is right in the middle. I mean, the beginning of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Come on now.
So I am having fun with doing this show for a live audience. Eventually I will record it, but it's right now it's fun to do it with people.
That's my favorite way of doing it, and that's
Yeah.
exactly the live feedback from doing it with people. I think that's the important part. Otherwise, it's the difference between your Spotify playlist and listening
Right.
to the radio, the DJ. You need that live, even though you can't talk to the DJ.
Oh,
You need
sure.
that interaction with that human voice.
Yeah.
You really do.
You know, during the pandemic when we were, you know, isolating, I ended up watching a lot of like old reruns of game shows because
Right.
they weren't live for me, but I was just so fascinated that they were live
Yeah.
at the moment. You know what I mean? Because it was a great mix of, and this is probably my improv comedy mind, and melded with my stand up comedy mind. I really love having a plan, but then having the flexibility of like
Yeah.
what
Flowing it with it.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
great merge between the two.
yeah. And I felt
And
like that's what game shows were for me when I couldn't really interact with people or
well,
leave or
right. It was our first probably real education and improv watching game shows
sure,
because
sure.
that's they have some scripted questions, they have some places to go,
Yeah.
but it's the audience interaction. You never know what the audience member is going to say.
Yeah. You know what was a real funny one was reruns of Supermarket Sweep. Do you remember that show?
Vaguely, there's reruns still.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
On
get the
on like
live feed
Pluto
then.
TV, I think there's a Supermarket Sweep 24-hour channel. But it's, it's the set looks like a grocery
Yeah.
store and there's trivia questions usually about brands or food or stuff like that. And then at some point you have to run around the supermarket to find things. It's like a little bit of a scavenger hunt. And the hilarious thing is like it felt like so many of these contestants didn't practice the running part. Like it like I don't know, it was like the fact that they had to do something physical at any given moment, like you can't rehearse that. You know what I mean? That was
No.
like so totally
What do I
improv.
have to do? Run where?
Yeah,
How?
people would like collide and like get into fights. Like it was,
It was Black Friday.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I was like, hey, it's Black Friday, the miniseries. I
right,
like this
right.
one. Oh, but that's I do remember, and I kept thinking like, are they drunk? But no, it's just the live aspect of it.
Oh yeah,
People lose their minds.
it's true. Yeah,
Like they forget normal okay, I'm focusing on this, and this, not to run. Like your brain's like, no, we're still focused on this.
right.
The legs are like, where are we going?
Game show bloopers like from Family Feud where people say like offensive stuff. It's just like so hilarious to me.
Yeah, it's we grew up with those shows like that. That used to be an entire thing, like on NBC, like oh, the blooper show,
Yeah, yeah.
world's most famous blooper. I forgot
World's
what it was now.
funniest blooper. Oh yeah, I loved that
Yeah,
show. Yeah.
that one. Yeah. So we went through a lot today, and you will be at the Atlantic Fringe Festival May 30th, June 7th in Atlanta, and hopefully get you to Edinburgh.
Yeah, I haven't
Get
done
you
it
there, yeah.
yet, and I'll get there eventually.
Dang right.
I do like going to these different places that I don't expect to go to, but yeah, Edinburgh eventually.
I think you're well on the way, man.
Yeah,
Now, I asked this of all my guests.
sure.
If you can give me 1,000, no, wait, no, wrong question. Wrong, sorry. If you can give your old self, like your teenage self, advice, what would it be?
Um, it's hard to pick just one thing because
Right.
teenage me needed a lot of information. I feel like
That could be it there too.
I think it's all about like not fearing things. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just enjoy more and fear less. I think.
I think that's great advice for everyone,
Yeah.
especially if you want to get into improv or stand up. That's
Yeah,
part of like the
I feel sorry. I feel like that's not specific enough because it's like sometimes fear is good. Like I used to be a window cleaner here in New York, and my boss would tell me fear will keep you alive. So there are some good things about fear as
right.
well. But I definitely was a little too panicked about stuff when I was a teenager.
Well, not up in the window. If you're doing window washing, whoa,
Yeah, yeah.
that definitely was not one of the things you're panicking about.
No, right.
Like I got palpitations. Like think about that. Like oh, I don't want to wash
What's
windows.
so
That's
you always ask
water.
this question of guests. What's your answer? Do you have?
I would tell teenage you to
No,
stop
I
fearing
mean
so
you.
much.
What would you tell teenage you? That's what I
Oh,
want.
teenage me?
Yeah, yeah.
That the Lakers will three-peat with a guy named Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. They put a bunch of money on them then.
That's very specific. That's good advice.
Yes,
That's
I
yeah,
always have the very specific,
right.
Also, Tesla and Apple.
Got it. Yeah, also
Because
good.
at that time, I would be able to.
I'll reevaluate the advice that I would
Yeah.
give myself if I
But
could. Because
fear is good too. But no, the
yeah,
fear thing is also.
yeah,
No. But that's the thing is like what we give to ourselves, and I think it's all lovely. It's all lovely. And For people who are not going to be in Atlanta, where else are you going? Where can we find you?
I will be doing this show, Secret Time Travel Meeting, here in New York. I think in June. I forget the exact date, but I'm going to be doing at a 420 friendly, like secret speakeasy location where,
Secret.
yeah,
The secret one.
I know. So it's going to be in a consumption friendly location. So
Nice.
we'll be getting stoned and I'll be talking about time travel. So that's on the horizon. And then Rochester, New York, eventually, hopefully Estonia. We'll
There you
see.
go.
Oh, Harrisburg Fringe Festival in July as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're just
Harrisburg,
kind of lining them
Pennsylvania.
up, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. And then, of course, May 30th to June 7th at the Atlanta one. I actually do love Atlanta, and that's a beautiful time to go. It's not quite sweltering yet.
Yeah, yeah. I was
Yeah.
there for the first time last year for the Fringe Festival, and it was, I immediately wanted to go back. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And honestly, the rest of the place is like countryside.
Yeah,
It's like you have the city on like and forest all around. It's like, oh, it's like Jersey, but different.
yeah. I've never been to Athens, Georgia. Maybe I'll get there this trip. We'll see. I'm
Hey,
hoping.
man, got a car. Go rent him. All right. Thank you very much. And again, from my half, and language, English today. See, I do mine in tongues. No,
Yeah,
on behalf of myself, Joe, and Shawn, it's been a pleasure having you, sir. I cannot wait to hear about the joke that's definitely about masturbation.
it is.
See you, everyone. Bye.